The Shelby GT350. Guys, I'm gonna start this video right off the bat by saying I truly believe this is one of the most underappreciated cars in the whole car space. People are online constantly glazing the Mark IV Supra or the Porsche 911 GT3 RS. But what about the American GT3? Guys, I just got done driving the Shelby GT500 and that was a great experience, but there is just something about the GT350 that hits the spot a true car enthusiast really wants to scratch. There is a lot to go over with this car, but first and foremost, before we go for a drive, let's start with this design. Now, I will say I've never been a massive fan of the GT350s and 500s design, just because they are very similar to a standard like Mustang EcoBoost. If this did not have the stripes, which I'm glad it does, there would just not be a whole lot that tells a non-car person, hey, this is not just a regular Mustang. This is a bit more of a special car than that. I mean, some of the obvious features about this are, well, the little GT350 badge. You can option the paint stripes, and most GT350 owners do option for the paint stripes. I think it looks really good on this car. Gives it that muscle sort of design as well. But I don't know if I would even call this a muscle car. We'll talk more about that when we go for a drive. It's got these little grill tower thingies on the front and bottom grill, a nice splitter there. This is actually the GT350R splitter. You can tell with this little extra flare here. This one does have aftermarket wheels. You see the GT350 badge as well as this nice little vent. That is a big telltale sign you're looking at a GT350. Move along to the back, you have a nice spoiler. Again, from the factory, an EcoBoost would not have that. The regular GTs do not have that spoiler either. And you also get pretty massive exhaust tips, and this does have an active exhaust as well. Black painted roof on this as well, $600 option. I mean, this is a very, very nice looking car. Let's pop the hood real quick. And by the way, a nice little vent right here to extract some of the heat out of the engine bay. And speaking of the engine bay, this is where the beauty is. This is what partially, part of it, what makes this car an American GT3. Under here, you have a 5.2 liter, keyword, flat plane crank V8. 8,250 RPM redline. Guys, I've said this before, I will say it again. There are so little cars available that have A, flat plane crank V8, B, a manual only. You can't get this in automatic, so only a manual to go with this type of engine. And on top of that, over 8,000 RPM to rev out. Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, and this design is very, very beautiful. Now, there are some negatives though. There's some reliability things I am gonna talk about with this car. Not really a great conversation, but if you are looking to get one of these, well, I am now the owner of this car, and I want to give you some watch outs, but we'll save that for later on in the video. Just before we hop in this thing, I do want to mention that the rear tires on this GT350 are 325 in width. That is a massive tire. I was very surprised when I saw the C7 Z06 having 335s and then the C8 Z06 having 345s. So this is just a step down from that, considering it does not make 650 horsepower like the C7 Z06. It makes 526, by the way. This tire size suits this car very, very nicely. All right, now let's go ahead and hop in here. Now, there's quite a different few ways you can configure the interior of your GT350. This one does have the Recaros, which means fully manually controlled seats. That's a sacrifice you have to make if you want to get Recaros. And let's go ahead and hop in here. Greeted by the nice little GT350 badge and Shelby logo. Let's go ahead and start this thing up first. So as soon as you hop in here, right on the sides, first of all, you really feel these Recaros, and I highly recommend getting Recaros because these side bolsters, it really just makes you feel like you are in a race car. Nice little radar detector there. You're gonna need one if you get in this thing. Full Alcantara steering wheel that is just so satisfying to hold. It's so smooth. Nice big Shelby badge right in the center there as well. And the two, well, actually, probably the three most beautiful mouldings are the red line. Can you maybe just appreciate, look at that gauge cluster, the RPM gauge. Like, oh my gosh, that is just, oh, so rare to find a car that revs over 8,000. Again, especially with a flat plane crank V8. Can you guys even think of any other flat plane crank V8s that rev over to 8,000? Well, C8Z06 is one, but off the top of my mind, that's the only other car I can think of. And then you have this beautiful 6-speed manual transmission that is just such a upgrade from the MT82 that's in regular Mustang GTs. That is why if you're gonna get a manual Mustang V8, you really wanna get either the Bullet or the Mach 1 so that you get the same transmission. Because the MT82, there are so many complaints on that one in Mustang GT manual opted versions of that car. Now, basic interior, you have the badge, it looks cool. It's just not a whole lot of stuff. There's a few just nice special touches. If you don't get the $3,000 electronics package, then you are stuck with a tiny little screen. I'm not kidding when I say it's like actually that small. I have that in my Mustang EcoBoost, and oh my gosh, this is such a better car than the Mustang EcoBoost. I just smile hopping in this thing every day. So definitely, like, that is ridiculous that you have to pay $3,000 for a normal screen. Like, this is a pretty standard screen in today's day and age. That should be in the base model, but it's not. Without further ado though, let's get driving. All right, so typically I usually wait for the oil temp to get around 180 before I start actually romping on it, and we're already there. So did not get the cold start, but we can immediately start off with some fun driving. We'll talk about the selectable drive modes in a second, but we'll jump over to Sport, open up those exhaust valves, and take a listen. Gosh, guys, 526 horsepower. Unfortunately, you know, so many people nowadays are like, oh, if it's not 1,000 horsepower, it's slow. No, 526 horsepower will move the car. It is very satisfying, the way this thing pushes you back into your seat, the way this thing sounds, and the Brembo brakes front and back to bring you to a stop. So honestly, probably a bit quicker than you're actually accelerating, which in a well-balanced car, you better hope that the brakes are better than whatever your acceleration power is. And that is why this is just such an underappreciated car. Oftentimes, when you think of American cars, you think of just, you know, a beefy, heavy car, big engine, maybe some like iron brakes. Like, it's just not well balanced. It's just a big displacement engine placed inside of a box that makes loud, rumbly noises. This is not that at all. And I mentioned earlier that I you know, just got out of the GT500, and it was as soon as I stepped in that thing, I felt like it was. Sorry, sometimes I got to relearn manual after driving the dual clutch automatic. That car, the GT500, just felt so big and beefy. It reminded me of what an American muscle car is supposed to feel like. But as soon as you step in a GT350, the feeling you get compared to a Mustang GT or a Camaro SS, Corvettes, yeah, a little more of this type of feeling to it in the American car realm. But this is just unmatched in terms of, you sit in here, those seats just lock you into place, and you are driving this ultra nimble, super high revving, manual transmission race car. You put it into, well, let's jump over to the adjustable drive modes, because it's not like when you go into normal mode, it feels like super comfortable. But when you do go into sport, the suspension just is so nice and firm. You feel so connected to the road with every bump you go over, every tilt in the road. Suspension, the engine, the transmission just feels so much more engaging, and you feel so much more connected to it than you do in literally every other American sports car that is available today. And that's why this car is in a weird spot, and I wonder if that's why it is kind of, well, not kind of, it is very underappreciated. Why are there not, why are people glazing the Mark IV Supra? Like, seriously? You can get something like this for, well, cheaper than what a Mark IV Supra would cost. Ooh, nice little C8 right there. Is it a Z06? It is not, unfortunately. You can get a car and pay $50,000 and from the factory have something where, in all honesty, guys, I do not feel the need to touch this thing. It is already so perfectly crafted from the factory. The only thing you could argue needs an improvement or could be improved is the speed. But then again, no matter how much power you push, you're going to get used to the power that you have, and well, you could always do more. 526 horsepower to the average person is going to feel like a lot. And as somebody that's driven, you know, high horsepower cars, to me, this feels like a lot. But I can see over time, you know, the feeling of needing to have a little bit more power out of this thing. All right, we're gonna do a real hard pull here in a second, but let's put this car in exactly the mode we want. First of all, open up those exhaust valves. Let's go ahead and change the suspension to sport, and let's change the steering over to sport. Ready? Not see if there was a cop somewhere in that row of cars. Oh my gosh. Yes, the GT500 is way faster. The C7 Z06 is way faster. Honestly, a C7 Stingray might feel pretty close to this because the car is a bit lighter than this is. But none of those cars give you the feeling that this does. Not even the C8 Z06. Because, well, let's jump back over to normal mode there. That exhaust can get pretty loud if you wanted to. No other car in the American car market gives you the feeling that this does because, well, the C8 Z06, you can't opt for a manual transmission in that car. That is unbelievable. Now, you know, I'm not somebody that's going to sit here and say manuals or nothing. That is just not the case. I love driving automatics too, especially dual clutch automatics. But the fact that just less and less cars are being available to opt with a manual transmission is starting to make the cars that do have a manual transmission feel that much more special. And guys, if you're going to get an ultra high revving, anything, flat 6, V8, V10, whatever, it's something about having a manual with that just makes it so much more special for the following reasons. After spending a lot of time with this car, guys, going back into oh, nice little, I think that's a C2 or C3 Corvette behind me. It feels like I'm missing something. There's like a whole second part to the car. And again, you know, may sound obvious, but the point I'm trying to make is manuals becoming so much more rare, V8s becoming so much more rare, flat plane crank, any type of engine becoming so much more rare. I think that's always been rare. But this car should not be in the 40,000, well, 40 is a pretty bad example, to be honest. The $50,000 price range. This should be significantly higher than that. And just the fact that I see, you know, on my own channel, the C7 Corvette Z06 and those other types of cars getting so much more attention and clicks than I do the GT350 just tells me I just don't think people have come to appreciate what this car has to offer. And the fact that these are no longer in production, and the new GT350, people are just calling that, it's basically just a supercharged 5.0. It doesn't have that special Shelby touch to it. I mean, guys, all I could say is watch these videos and just ask yourself, do you like what you see? And if yes, and you're gonna buy a car pretty soon, please test drive a GT350 before these things, well, either go up in value or, well, inevitably they're gonna go up in value because they're just gonna get harder and harder to find, whether more and more people crash them, they become higher and higher mileage. Yeah, these things are not gonna be around forever, especially at this price point. I think this is these are, they should not be as cheap as they are. This car is meant to be revved out. It's meant to be held higher in the RPM range. The only reason I'm not is because I'm trying to talk to you guys, and this thing can get very loud if you keep it at 4,000 RPM. And those pops, my gosh. And I do want to touch on the cornering of this car. We'll send it right here on the left turn just so you can kind of see, as long as there's no cops around me. The way this thing can take turns is just so far beyond most cars that I've driven, even a lot of German cars, guys. This feels better to throw into corners than the BMW M4. Now, let me cover the reliability portion of this. You'll read if you just search up reliability issues with this car, you're gonna find people that claim that their engines blew. You're gonna find a lot of people claim that their engines are consuming oil. The consuming oil part, by the way, I'm gonna stand by that. Mine actually does. The harder I drive it, the more it consumes. If I drive conservatively, I do not consume more than 500, or more than 1 quart every 500 miles. But if I am sending this thing constantly, then I will consume a quart in 500 miles for sure. That is a problem that I'm not entirely sure, if you're shopping for one, how you're gonna know if that car has that issue or not. You kind of have to drive the miles to figure that out. But I would not let that be a reason why you don't get a GT350. Because you just check your oil, top it off if it needs it. I've driven a GT350 that had 90-something thousand miles on it. So an easy telltale sign, if you're looking at a car that can hold up, is just go on Auto Tempest or some car shopping website and look and see, hey, how many high mileage examples are there of the car that I'm looking for? If there's not very many high mileage examples, then you are probably not going to want to buy that car. At this point, my GoPro just knows to die right before I end videos off. This happens in every single video at this point. But like I said, guys, this is not the most powerful car. This is not the fastest. This is not the most reliable. But it is arguably one of the most unique. And it is one of the most special feelings that you'll get compared to any other car, even relatively close to what the price of this thing is. So all in all, guys, I just believe that more people should take a look at this car because of what it is and recognize how special it is. Appreciate you all for watching. You can see my oil down there because I am topping it off every month or so at if I drive it hard, a little bit more common than that. But anyways, guys, love you all. Comment if you have any questions, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Peace out.